friends, I'm Rick, the Shoot Seat at the Table. We got a little Misty hovering around in the background somewhere, and like I said, you've already seen, probably have seen at least the postings of me going on about sound and stuff. So I obviously took this off. It's not making that much of a difference, as best I can tell. It's deceptive. I moved the laptop just a little closer to me, and I'm going to lean into it and grunt. You know, we're trying to get in there and trying to get some sound in there as best we can. Like I said previously, thank to a great group of guys, and one has specifically donated a newer laptop. The channel is an Apple. I have been slow in playing with it because I've never had an Apple in my life before, and that's just and I'm nervous about it. But also because I've been just so damn busy. I mean, I really have. The last 4 or 5 weeks have been just hammered. The next 3 are going to slow down. I'll be pushing the 40 mark, which is, you know, not so good on the pay side of things because it puts me in a bind financially. But and there's at least 1 week where I'm looking like the mid 30s. So my goal is to wash the truck and do some other stuff around the shop. That kind of stuff. Like tonight, I got shanghaied into going out on a job with one of the hood crews, mostly because my boss is trying to help me out, and he's convinced the owner of this restaurant to pay cash, and then I'm supposed to kick him back $100, give the other guy a couple hundred, and pocket the rest. And he wants to do this without telling the boss lady about it. So probably nobody needs to tell anybody about that. But at the same time, you know, I don't know. It just kind of not something that sits comfortable with me. I need the help, but I don't really like this kind of, I don't know, shenanigans going on here. You know, it just reeks of being dishonest. Anyway, I understand what he's trying to do. Anyway, let's get on to The Bloodstone Lands by R.A. Salvatore. If you are any sort of fan of fantasy novels, and especially anything related to Forgotten Realms, which is obviously Dungeons and Dragons brand, you've heard of R.A. Salvatore, the Halfling's Gem, the Crystal Shard, that sort of stuff. Well, a lot of the backstories or the back settings for those novels is the Bloodstone Lands. And so it goes without saying that, and I'm speculating here without ever having talked to Mr. Salvatore and knowing his processes, I can only guess, but I suspect that he did a lot of prep work in backstory material that for his novels that we didn't see, and it was from those notes and that prep work that emerges this particular insightful thing. So I really like this setting. I've tapped it more than a few times, and I found it useful in with other game mechanics. You don't always have to play, you know, D&D for it. So we're looking at an overall map of the Bloodstone Lands, the Mara, the various duchies and baronies, the Rawlinswood, Glacier of the White Worm, Monastery of the Yellow Rose, and this keeps tripping my memory for some reason. I suspect there's also a series that was written for Forgotten Realms by Salvatore called the Quintet, the Quintet. I think it's $5 revolving around this very inventive and curious priest who then goes on to establish some honking big library, etc., etc., etc. And I read it took me a while to get all 5 books read. I had bought 2 or 3 of them used, and then I had never read them in the past because, for one reason or another, I'm not a really big cleric fan. I mean, I've played clerics, I've supported clerics, I've used NPC clerics numerous times, but as a preferred class, that's just not my gig. But, you know, the story, so eventually I did read all the stories, and I want to say there's some colorful characters in there, including a dwarf druid, or a dwarf who wants to be a druid and eventually becomes one, who likes to dye his beard green. It annoys the bejesus out of his brother. So this story this source book is quite in depth. Lots of good information. The history of the Bloodstone Lands, recent events in the region, where the region stands now, at home, the northern provinces, preparations for Avasa, the Great Glacier, politics of the Bloodstone Lands, the baronies. So you have this loose collection of baronies and duchies that are supposedly all answer to a king who's not all that infectial. Mostly these are very rural communities, very rural fiefdoms that have spent most of their time just trying to survive and protect their citizens. right? Some are better than others. Of course, you find that everywhere. Uh, Duchy of Camarantha, the Duchy of Brandir, the Barony of Ostel, the Barony of Poltan, the Duchy of Sorbia, however you want to pronounce it. Then what the neighbors think. So we got Impelitatur. Don't ask me how to pronounce that. Never could. Cross the rushing waters of the Sidewinder River sits tomorrow's most important neighbor, Impelitatur, not a large nation, but is bordered by the Earth Spars and Demera on the north, the Sea of the Fallen Stars on the south. So it means it's a vital trade link to the Sea of Fallen Stars and other further out destinations. And so, blah, 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 recent events in that location, where they stand now, Narfall, beyond the eastern border of Silveria, beyond the ice-laced lake and the giant Spire Mountains, lies the kingdom of Narfall, larger than Damara. Narfall stretches from blah, 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 blah. Recent events, where they stand now. Then we get into the known tribes. And I think of these tribes as the barbarians. So if you're familiar with, once again, Salvatier's work, there's this mighty barbarian character that plays Wolfgar, who plays a prominent role in the Drizzt Do'Urden stories for a number of decades and a slew of books, over a dozen for sure. And so he's part of a barbarian tribe. And through these books, we really get an introduction to how some of these barbarian groups are. As a rule, I don't think a lot of players who play barbarians truly understand what barbarians are. A lot of them, equate Conan, quote, the barbarian, as the barbarian that they're playing, and that's their goal, and that's fine. But they're much wider range than that, much deeper group of people, much richer backstories and possibilities in there. And through Salvatore's work, we really get an introduction to the possibilities there. So in this case here, the Bloodstone Lands have a whole bunch of various barbarian tribes and how they act with each other and how they act to outsiders. For example, this one's the Diagnosed are tolerant, or the Farquaad are hostile. Excuse me, my damn yawning, for quiche sake. I've been up for hours. There's no reason to start yawning now other than I'm running my mouth. Okay, so we get into the Ains, the Ador, the Diagnosed, the Kuinem, the Estesta, Ragnar, Var, and we get into the various races. The Centaurs, the Dwarves, the Hells and Half-Elves, the Halflings, Half-Orcs, Humans. Half-Orcs are probably an interesting story because there's actually one thriving settlement of Half-Orcs that, for the most part, the men and the barbarians of the region either interact with them positively or just leave them be, because they're actually trying not to be an evil race of whatever. But that's a different place, a different time. We got humans, of course, the gnomes. Surface gnomes are an uncommon sight north of the Sea of Fallen Stars. No community of these little people can be found anywhere in vast Demera, Ipetur, or Narfall. Like elves, those gnomes who come to Bloodstone Lands are wandering bands or solitary fortune hunters. The monsters. Goblet kin and giant kin, of course, you can't get away with any of them. They're all over the place. And you got the Tundra Yeti, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti. I got a video on Bigfoot on my other channel. Actually, I've got a couple of them coming. I got another one coming out. Remores, nasty buggers. Some kind of twisted, freaking overheated wannabe bug ancestor. I don't know what. They're very weird creatures. No getting around it. I've had some incredible fun at throwing those at parties in the past. And I've had at least one party get really creative with it. They caught a young one and tried to tame it. It didn't end well. They tried. I give them credit for that. They got experience too, posthumously in a couple of cases. Currency, the religion, character classes, i.e. clerics, druids, fighters, rangers, paladins, magic users, illusionists, thieves, monks, bards. You can tell how old these books are when they still refer to the rogues as thieves, because that's what the class was once upon a time. Then we get cities, towns, and villages. This perhaps is one of the sections that I've tapped the most over the decades for other games. When I need an impromptu village, sometimes it's just easier to pull out something that pre-exists and fire it off. You don't even have to change the name. And if the players aren't familiar with the background setting that it came from, they're not going to notice. And if they do, they're just not going to care. They just know that there's a town here and we can take advantage of it, etc., etc. It's just like I used to have. Excuse me again. I used to have, but when a bunch of my stuff got stored improperly at my folks' house a decade ago out the barn, the damage to them was irreversible. I lost a lot of stuff. Most of my magazine, game-related magazines were out there and they got destroyed. But they also had a whole slew of pre-made stuff, or stuff I made myself, not pre-made, but pre-game. So I used to keep a catalog of towns, thorps, villages, and cities, available. I had maps already pre-generated, and every time I did one for a new campaign, new group of players, I didn't throw the old material away. I just retired it to an ever-growing library of what-ifs and possibilities. So just saying is I could pull out one of 50 different town maps and one about sufficient size that matches the description in here. Bing, bang, little effort, there you go. All right. Ostrov, a typical Damarian farm village. And we go through all these different towns. I'm not going to list them all, but some of them only got a few hundred people. The average is about 1,000 to 2,000. Some of the really big ones. Here's one for 8. Here's one. Here's the trade fair, 20 to 30,000. Technically, it's mostly a revolving population. Geography of the region: the Buzzard Beak Harbor, the Beat Maris River, the Bloodstone Pass, the Easting Reach, the East Earthfast Mountains, Earthspur Mountains, Earthwood, the Forest of the Great Dale, Galena Mountains, the Galena Spoke, Giant Spur Mountains, Glacier of the White Worm, so on and so on. I mean, you get all the little local geography stuff you could want. And once again, these are excellent sources for tapping for other games in a pinch, or if you're really struggling for ideas. Because I don't know about everybody else, but like I said, it was great when I was younger. I could spend a lot of time devoted to the hobby and to creating the scenarios and the backstories and the worlds, that the sandboxes that my friends were going to play in, because most of them didn't want to be the GM, because I don't know, I guess they didn't want to do all the stuff I did. They had other things to do with their young lives. So I did all this stuff. And then as I got older, the less time I had. And so when I could devote time, I really went all out. And sometimes overboard. And this is part of that phase of becoming, mastering this skills that it takes to be a good player, and more important, to be a good game master, a good storyteller. And it's truly an epic voyage of its own, of exploration and knowledge and learning and adapting, and more importantly, understanding that as we get older, our views on things change as well, and that not necessarily all the old stuff was great, but it wasn't always bad either. But more importantly, it was a foundation upon which our knowledge today is built on. So when I hear somebody go and they say, I recently watched a video for this younger fella. He's been playing for 30 years. He's been playing most of his entire adult life, and his young child is basically his entire life. As long as he was old enough, probably 8, 9 years old, to start understanding how this stuff worked, started playing then. So he's still playing it to this day, and he plays every weekend. He has a life that allows for that, and he has a group of solid players that allow for that. That's great. And he become enamored with theater of the mind, the fourth dimension, what they're calling fourth dimension of role play today. And he wants that total immersion style, and he's become an advocate of it, an advocate of it. And so his recent videos are, you can hear the passion and feel his real want to achieve this on a regular basis. And of course, part of the talk is about, well, anybody can learn to do this. That's true. And truth is, new players who learn how to do this particular, a specific style of play, generally will adapt to it easier than older people or older players who have been their own style of play is well entrenched, or they've played in numerous styles and kind of gotten an apathy towards any particular style of play. So part of the deal, though, is as I said to him, was that you're able to do that in part because you literally have 30 decades of experience behind you. You know, the more you play, the more you game. It's just like any other hobby or skill. If you're an amateur auto mechanic, you keep your own car, you do all the minor maintenance you can, and some of the medium maintenance you can on your vehicle because you have a passion for working on your car or on other cars. If you really have a passion, or you become a mechanic and get a living doing it. But the point I'm getting at is that if you go back to the first time you turned a wrench and you look at yourself 20 years later, there's huge changes that's taken place. And a big role of that is from experience, trial and error, loss, confrontation, you name it, things that go south and learning to deal with it, etc. So we got strongholds, ruins, and dungeons. The black holes of Sunderland, the Bloodstone Mines, Castle Polarius. And there's an entire novel, I think, that revolves around this, and also there was, I think, a source book for it. Don't quote me on that, but I think I saw something for it a long time ago. Cave of the Whistling Wind, Church of the Dionysusblatt, Citadel of the Assassins, Duntheros, Bloodstone Gates, something I can't pronounce. The Vassin Gate, the Marian Gate, Hillsafar Hall, the Hermit's Hill, House of Hurl. Yeah, let's all go to the House of Hurl, because that sure sounds like a great place to eat. The Ice Run, yes, I know, bad pun, bad joke, blah, blah, blah. The Moon Stays of the Yellow Rose, Monastery of the Yellow Rose. Yeah. Also known as the Citadel of the White Worm, Monastery of the Yellow Rose was founded before either Vasta or Dramaria was established. The monks who established the monastery more than 1,000 years ago crossed over, blah, blah, blah. All right. Riding the Ramirez. The monks of the Yellow Rose have a spectacular, dangerous initiative adventure. The PCs will want their rifle shot at this exhilarating enterprise. Before any monk can challenge to become a master of the dragons or the 8th level, he or she must pass one of the most astonishing initiations ever devised. Armed with magical iron and leather spurs and a simple lasso, the monk must attempt to ride on the back of Ramirez. Yeah, now think about that, because their backs can be heated to an extreme temperature and roast your. You want to sit on that? Yeah, you got to make some preparations to be able to deal with that. I'm just saying, Lord, you got to know exactly where to sit on this thing. All right, just saying. So we go on to the Narsik Quintostrad, whatever I can't pronounce that. Narsik Quintel, the Raveners warship, and the Pit. So we get Hillsafar Hall, the Warren, Ruins of Monte Velello, yeah, right, and on. So then we get movers and shakers, the who's, the what's, and the why's, or otherwise a nice list of NPCs for your characters to rub elbows with, bump into, or occasionally see from a safe distance. All right, I'm just saying, lots of good ideas in here, lots of critters, lots of wonderful stuff, and a deep, deep story base, without a doubt. Traveling bands and organizations, always going to have those, because you're all part of a company. Even if you're only 4 of you together, you're the company of the whatever. We got the Knee Breakers, the Rock Tappers, the Earsfast, the Scorvarian Tailbringers, Spy Song, the Thunkers of the Thunkers, okay. Tight Purse, the Twilight Riders, the Watchers, the White Worm. Then we get into, what is this? Bloodstone Lands campaign. Right, so we get a little mini campaign here to give you a little taste of this stuff. This is a very well detailed, well thought out source book. I mean, if you look at just the amount of information and volume that's available in a book that tiny, to be as a setting for a number of the novels that Salvatore wrote, it's great. What it really does is it gives a broader view. So you can read the novels and get the real good story, but you don't get the broad view of the lands itself. This is something that Red on Big Red's Battletech channel brings up a lot when he talks about he would much prefer to read the source book than a novel, and I believe I understand what he's talking about. I'm a huge novel fan. I mean, I'm literally got a stack a foot high over here. I got Redemption Rights sitting there from Battletech, and I got 7, 8 of the real old Star Wars novels sitting back there. Thunder in the Mind's Eye, original Star Wars, original Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo, it's Revenge, Han Solo, It Stars End, etc. Just sitting over here. And then I've got a couple more tucked up over here, and I've got like I said, I got books all over the damn house and got one in the work truck. And I've always been that way. I've gotten a little more mindful of that. I used to back in the day when we'd go take the family out for dinner, and I'd be sitting there reading a book, not having any, I'm disconnected. It'd be no different than everybody today with their damn cell phones. So, I've learned to adapt and get a little better than that because, it's kind of the point of going out with the family kind of stuff. Anyway, Forgotten Realms, Bloodstone Lands. If you get your hands on this, this is a great supplement. And once again, I hear a lot of drama and BS coming out of Wizards of the Coast these days and Hasbro, and their great schemes to basically kill the damn pen and paper version of D&D. And my thoughts is, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Good luck, Chuck, because I have a pile of this crap already stuck in the back room, out there in the living room. We're slowly going through my stuff. I have sufficient enough. I got, most of second edition. I got the key books for second edition. I got a whole lot of third edition 3.5. And I've got the 5.0, the, core books. Do not only own any fourth edition knowingly, although I may have one or two supplements that may be fourth edition. I don't know, don't care. I picked them up dirt cheap at one of the game stores in their used bin. Okay, but I'm not buying it for the sake of buying it. So WotC can kill him, go out and kill the franchise. Hasbro can kill the franchise, kill it dead at this point. Sucks to be the new players, sucks for the real diehard fans of Dungeons and Dragons who live for the new content. But the older you get, the longer you go. My question would be is when is enough enough? I have sufficient enough Dungeons and Dragons back here to run campaigns till I die. I don't need to have yet the next new thing. And as long as I can find people that are willing to play this, we go back to the theater of the mind stuff where it's kind of you need to have a right kind of group of people to really be successful at achieving your 100% immersion goal for your campaign, which is what you're trying to do. Like I make the point is we can get a lot of that in play by post and probably get better control over it, but it's all a matter of taste. It's just like playing your virtual tabletop. I can't. I don't know that my laptop can sustain it. I don't know because I haven't tried it. But like I said, a few weeks ago, some of y'all seen the results. I tried to do a live video, and the computer basically crashed. The CPU died or maxed out, and I lost sound. So if I don't lose sound next time, I'll lose the video. I mean, so how do you maintain that and do 3 or 4 hour online game? I would love to play those. I would love to figure out how to do that. I mean, finding the time and finding the way to do that sometimes is a challenge, and then you add that to the weird hours that I'm constantly working. But it doesn't change the fact I would love to. My concerns is my laptop won't sustain it. Like I said, I haven't done anything with this Apple yet. I mean, I keep looking at it with a tetrapation because I don't want to ruin it. I mean I'm being silly, but like I said, in the next few weeks, right now I'm trying to work on the iPad thing that was, or the data pad that was given to me. I really want to get that running because I think I can do videos with it. And wouldn't that be great if I could do some short videos while I'm out of work? Y'all might not think that, but I have a lot of stuff I'd like to ramble on about. And we're going to get to that real soon because my goal is to do at least 1 or 2 more damn videos. It's going on 11 now. At least 1 more. I wanted to do some my Stellar Frontier stuff, and I guess I might have to do that next week because once again, about noon or so, I'll lay down for a nap, get a good 2-3 hour nap in today because I'm going to be out most of the night tonight working this weird thing my boss has got concocted. The job pays $800 cash, so I should be able to take $400 or $500 home, and that's the boss insisting on it. And the way he did it was just nothing's on paper. He got the owner to agree to pay in cash. We're going to go do the job. We'll give him the paperwork. He never tells the office, which technically is his spouse, who a couple weeks ago let me buy told me to go replace the bad tire on my van using a company card, and she wouldn't tell Emmett about it. So I mean, you see, it's just, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, it's been bad. It keeps to it just gets to where
If I move that thing the wrong
way, it disconnects. See, the USB port's getting loose over there. Recently, I have my healthcare through the marketplace. So I have Medica. Medica, because the county hospital only accepts Medica or Blue Cross Blue Shield, and there's no world where I'm currently working I could ever get Blue Cross Blue Shield. So my Medica is increased to 250 a month. Was paying 70, so now I'm coming up with another 170, $160 a month, or will be because it's going to start real soon. Because I end up owing $1,900 to the damn IRS, and I've got it down to around 1,300 right now. But Jesus, I'm paying everything I can. But it's hard. Every week I send them $25. I try to get every week $25. My goal is at least 100 a month, but sometimes you get a real short week. You got to eat. The power has to stay on. The priorities are priority. Doesn't change nothing. So I had to adjust my and the reason for that is because my wife's on disability and she makes $12,500 a year on that disability, and after working for 20 damn years, she's entitled to that. She's been paying into the damn Social Security system since she was 14. She's entitled to it. She earned it. So I have to claim that as my household income when it comes to things like my insurance, which then means I'm paying, I'm taking a penalty. I'm getting it, because of her happen to have that tax, probably supposed to be tax free, but it's not. It's just how they worded it. You just get screwed. So I'm going to pay an extra 200, 250 a month or so. Well, this change to the insurance also affected my Travicity. So, for those who don't know, Travicity is a diabetic med, and it's like a substitute for insulin. And it has some positive side effects. It does help you lose a little weight, that kind of like Ozempic or whatever. But it's freaking $300 a shot. The EpiPens cost $300 a shot. You take them 4 times a month, once every week. That's $1,200 a month for this damn drug. Well, when I was working under the previous version of the insurance, I go down to the community hospital and they have this program called Community Cares. So as long as I make below a certain amount of money, they will cover 100% of what my insurance doesn't. So in the case of Medica, the deductible is $9,600. $9,600. I might as well not pay anything. I might as well not have insurance because I've paid out of pocket for everything anyway. So the insurance makes some adjustments, and then they say, oh, well, the Travesty people, I was getting it through Lily Care Foundation because of my status for free. Then we get a letter from them saying the insurance changed, and they're no longer, because they have that insurance, they're no longer going to, that insurance covers Lily Cares or Travesty. They're not going to give it to me for free anymore. So the insurance company says, sure, the deductible, this, that, and the other thing, but, $200 a month. Friends, I don't have $200 a month. I don't know that I have another $170 a month to handle this insurance increase. Everything just kept going up this year. 2 years ago, we weren't in this situation. Now, everything is so effing expensive. Everything. Just everything. It's terrible. And because of the way this is set up, my insurance, I can't afford to take any raises at work. So my boss wanted to give me a raise last year and wanted to give me a raise this year. That would have been $2 more an hour. That's I figure about $360, $320 a month more than I would have been making 2 years ago, which would help offset the cost of these things. But the other side of that is if I accept those raises, then I bump up and I lose that community care, and then we're back to that $9,600 deductible that I have. Where do I come up with that money? Well, they want me to pay $200 on a month for this and another 100 and something for that. Where? Between that and that, it's actually more than what my raises would have been worth. So I've had to not take raises. My other option is just to bite the bullet and go find a job someplace else, one that has benefits. And I've thought about it a lot, and I really I'm wrestling with it. I don't want change. I've got a job, I'm secure in my job, and they try to help me. I also know that they would be in a real bad spot because they're not going to find somebody to do what I do for what I get paid. I'm just being honest. They're not. Because I know for a fact, because I could be doing what I do for everybody else in town, and they've offered me. But I've got this weird sense of loyalty to these people. They were there with me when Brenda and I were living in that old RV while we were one step from homeless and doing everything we could to, they did everything they could within reason to help us succeed. And I feel obligated for that reason. I'm just weird that way. It's much to my detriment sometimes. Then there's the uncertainty. So I could drive a dump truck. I could go drive a cement mixer. First off, they got to get that job and be sure I'm going to have that job. Because 3 months later, 6 months later, they could just decide to cut you loose because you're not up to what they want. Or the things slow down, they cut you loose. Because, when winter comes, you might find yourself idling for 2 or 3 months. And then how do you survive off without, if you're not prepared for it? I don't have answers to questions that scare me, kind of stuff. I don't know. On the side of the travesty thing, for some anal reason, the Lily Care Foundation had sent me like an extra. I had 7 months at 1 week. I got 7 months close to it sitting in my refrigerator right now. So as long as we don't lose the refrigerator, that stuff's good. I'm good until late winter into January, February. At that point, my boss's wife, she says, look, when you're run low, then we'll talk. We'll see what we can do. And what they can do is compensate me in other ways. I do so much crap in the office that I qualify for a management position. They could make an argument that I could get a damn salary, but I could have an expense account too that doesn't count as part of my damn income. So they could allow me to, instead of playing this weird game that they're playing, trying to somehow dance around the, well, we legally can't do that. Okay, fine. Legally you can't do that because you don't want the rest of the employees going, oh, what about me? What about me? I get that. So go ahead and buy a tire, but we just won't tell. We don't tell the boss. Hey, I'm gonna reg us jobs. You and this guy are gonna go out and do it, and he's in on it. So you pay him, and I pay you. You give me some for supplies. No, he just wants a kickback. So he wants $100, and Kevin will get a couple $100, and what's left would be for me, and that's probably about $400 or $500, depending on how long the damn job takes and whether or not the weather doesn't cause a problem tonight. And I'm not gonna lie, that's money we need. It's part of it I'm going to send to the IRS. Part of it's going to go into my little lockbox I keep back here that's got a, quote, stash. I've been very lucky so far. The rain and stuff this year has made the grass grow a lot. So the fellow over here, he's paid us 4 times this year, and he's paying us an extra 20. So we're getting $120. So that's $480, and we've spent $100 and something to buy the flowers and plants for the garden and crap. But I got $300 still sitting there now in that safe, which I didn't have at all last year. We had almost no surplus money whatsoever last year, and this year so far has been just as bad. And so it's just until spring things kicked up a little bit. I'm trying everything I can. I need to have. 2 years ago, I had like $1,000 stuck back. I had savings for emergencies, but this last 2 years, just saying. I mean, I see new game stuff come out all the time. I would dearly love to get it. That big investment for that Kickstarter was huge for me last year. I haven't seen anything from it yet. And I keep hearing people crying it might be 4 years before we see anything from it. I know they hit my credit card again for the shipping charges, so now, by all definition, I should see something. But and then of course the very generous stuff that y'all have sent me. A couple of you guys have been very generous. 3 or 4 actually have been very.
There's
That
thing again. The stupid, see that stupid USB port.
just don't know. Don't want to touch it. Yeah, see, it's too loose. So like I said, I had some really great guys, really great people send me some wonderful crap stuff, and I really, really appreciate it. I do, because I would love that, and I would not have been able to buy it myself. And then of course a couple of you guys that sent me those big, huge thumb drives full of PDFs. Ooh, yeah, I've got so much material. You've seen the videos that are generously donated to the channel, and I'm utterly grateful for that. I really am. Anyway, I've been rambling on too long about my own real world problems, and ignore what I'm crying about because it's my problem, not your guys's. Till next time, you guys have yourself a great weekend. It is officially the beginning of June. Summer is here. School's out. We're hitting 86 today here. It just irritates me to no end.